Welcome back. This is part 2 of Shabbat service for Waymaker Messianic Jewish and Christian Center USA. This is at the first segment because we're doing the Torah portion, and then we'll be doing the half Torah portion and taking a break. So we're going to continue with the Torah portion. The Kohen's garments. Bring your brother Aaron near with his sons from among Bnei Israel, so that they may minister to me as Kohanim. And Kohanim is a Hebrew word for priests. Aaron and his sons Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. You are to make holy garments for your brother Aaron for splendor and for beauty. You are to speak to all who are skilled, whom I have filled with a spirit of artistry, to make Aaron's garments for consecrating him, so that he may minister to me as a Kohen. These are the garments that they are to make: a breastplate, an ephod, a robe, a tunic of checkered work, a turban, and a sash. They are to make holy garments for your brother Aaron and his sons, so that he may minister to me as a Kohen. They are to use the gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen. They are to make the ephod of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and finely twisted linen, the work of the skillful craftsman. It is to have two shoulder pieces stitched to the ends, so that it may be joined together. The skillfully woven band, which is upon it, with which it is to be bound, is to be made like the design, and from the same piece of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and finely twisted linen. You are to take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the names of Bnei Israel, 6 of their names on one stone, and the names of the remaining 6 on the other stone, in order of their birth, with the work of a gem cutter engraving a seal. Etch the 2 stones in the order of the names of Bnei Israel. Make them enclosed in settings of gold. Fasten the 2 stones upon the shoulder pieces of the ephod, to be memorial stones for Bnei Israel. So Aaron is to bear their names before Adonai on his shoulders as a reminder. Fashion filigree settings of gold, along with 2 chains of pure gold of braided work, and you will attach the chains to the filigree settings. Make a breastplate of judgment, the work of a skillful craftsman. You are to make it like the design of the ephod, of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and finely twisted linen. It is to be square and doubled over, a span in length and a span in width. Set within it 4 rows of jewels, a row of ruby, topaz, and emerald for the first row, a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond for the second row, a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst for the third row, and a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper for the fourth row. They are to be enclosed in gold filigree settings. The stones are to be engraved in the order of the name of Bnei Israel, 12 according to their names, like the etchings of a signet seal, one corresponding to each name of the 12 tribes. Also, you are to make upon the breastplate braided chains of wreathed work from pure gold. Forge on the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and fasten the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. Then attach the 2 wreathed chains of gold on the 2 rings at the ends of the breastplate. The other 2 ends of the chains you are to place on the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod in front. So you are to make 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, on the edge of it that is toward the inner side of the ephod. Also make 2 gold rings, and place them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod underneath in the front, close to where it is joined, above the artfully woven band of the ephod. Then they will bind the breastplate by its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue thread, so that it may be on the skillfully woven band of the ephod, and so that the breastplate will not come loose from it. Aaron will bear the names of Bani Israel in the breastplate of judgment on his heart whenever he enters the holy place, as a continual memorial before Adonai. Also put the Urim and the Thummim within the breastplate of judgment, so they will be on Aaron's heart when he goes in before Adonai. Aaron will bear the judgment of Bani Israel on his heart before Adonai continually. You are to make the robe of the ephod entirely of blue. It is to have a hole for the head in the center, and a binding of woven work around the hole, as a collar, so that it may not be torn. On the hem of it you are to make pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet all around the hem, with golden bells between them, one golden bell and a pomegranate, then another golden bell and a pomegranate on the hem of the robe all around. It must be worn by Aaron, whenever he ministers. The sound will be heard when he goes into the holy place before Adonai and when he comes out, so that he does not die. So remember, Aaron's heart had to be right before God. He had to make sure there was no sin that stood before before God in the Holy of Holies. Um, and the other priests would know, his sons would know, because the other priests are going to be his sons at this point. They would know because they would hear the bells as he was moving about. Also, you are to make a plate of pure gold and engrave on it, like the engravings of a seal, holy to Adonai. Attach it with a violet cord onto the turban, on the front of the turban, so it will rest on Aaron's forehead, so that Aaron will bear away the iniquity committed regarding the holy things, which Bani Israel set apart as all their holy gifts. It is to always It is to be always on his forehead, so that they may have favor before Adonai. You are to weave the tunic in checkered work of fine linen, make a turban of fine linen, and make a sash in the work of a color weaver. For Aaron's sons you are to make tunics, sashes, and headwear for them, for splendor and for beauty. Put them on Aaron your brother, and on his sons with him, and anoint them, consecrate them, and sanctify them, so that they may minister to me as Kohanim. You are to make linen undergarments for them to cover the skin of their nakedness from the hips to the thighs. They are to be worn by Aaron and his sons when they go into the tent of meeting, or when they approach the altar to minister in the holy place, so that they do not become subject to guilt and die. It is to be a statute forever to him and to his offspring after him. Now, chapter 29, how to consecrate Kohanim. Now this is what you are to do to consecrate them, so that they may minister as Kohanim. Take one young bull and two rams without blemish, along with matzah, cakes of matzah mixed with oil, and matzah wafers spread with oil. Make them from fine wheat flour. You are to put them into one basket and present them along with the bull and the two rams. You are to bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting and wash them with water. Then take the garments and put the tunic on Aaron, along with the robe, the ephod, and the breastplate. Gird him with the artfully woven band of the ephod, set the turban on his head, and put the holy coronet on the turban. Then you are to take the anointing oil and pour it upon his head and anoint him. Also you are to bring his sons and put tunics on them. You are to gird Aaron and his sons with sashes, tie headwear on them, and they shall hold the priesthood by a perpetual statute. In this way you are to consecrate Aaron and his sons. You are to bring the bull before the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his sons are to lay their hands on its head. You are to slaughter the bull before Adonai at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Then take the blood of the bull, put it on the horns of the altar with your finger, and pour out all the remaining blood at the base of the altar. Also take all of the fat that covers the innards, the lobes above the liver, the two kidneys, along with the fat that is on them, and burn them on the altar. But the meat of the bull, along with its skin and its dung, you are to burn with fire outside the camp. It is a sin offering. Then take one ram, have Aaron and his sons lay their hands upon the head of the ram, then slaughter the ram, take its blood and sprinkle it around the altar. You are to cut the ram into pieces, wash its innards and its legs, and place them and its head and other pieces. Place them with its head and other pieces. Then you are to offer the whole ram up in smoke on the altar. It is a burnt offering to Adonai, a sweet aroma, an offering made by fire to Adonai. Then take the other ram and have Aaron and his sons lay their hands upon the head of the ram, slaughter the ram, take its blood and dab it on the tip of the right ear of Aaron and on the tip of the right ears of his sons, on the thumb of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet. Then pour the blood on the altar all around. Also, you are to take some of the blood that is on the altar along with the anointing oil and sprinkle it on Aaron and his garments and on his sons and their garments. In this way, he and his garments are to be consecrated along with his sons and their garments. Moreover, take some of the fat from the ram along with the fat tail, the fat that covers the innards, the covering over the liver, the two kidneys, and the fat that is on them, along with the right thigh, because it is a ram of consecration. Also take one loaf of bread, one cake of oiled bread, and one wafer out of the basket of matzah that is before Adonai. You are to put the entirety into Aaron's hands and the hands of his sons, and present them as a wave offering before Adonai. You are to take them out of their hands and offer them up in smoke on the altar on top of the burnt offering, as a sweet aroma before Adonai, an offering made by fire. Also take the breast of Aaron's ram of consecration and wave it as a wave offering before Adonai, so it will be your portion. Set apart the breast of the wave offering and the thigh of the contribution, which is waved and offered up from the ram of consecration, including what belongs to Aaron and his sons. It is to belong to Aaron and his sons as their due share forever from Bnei Israel, because it is a contribution. It is to be a contribution from Bnei Israel from their sacrifices of fellowship offerings, their contribution to Adonai. The holy garments of Aaron are to pass to their sons after him, to be anointed in them, and to be consecrated in them. The son that succeeds him as Kohen, who comes into the tent of meetings to minister in the holy place, is to put them on for 7 days. You are to take the ram of consecration and boil its meat in a holy place. Aaron and his sons are to eat the meat of the ram and the bread that is in the basket at the entrance of the tent of meeting. They are to eat those things with which atonement was made, to consecrate and to sanctify them. But a layman is not to eat them, because they are holy. If some of the meat of the consecration or the bread remains until morning, you are to burn the remainder with fire. It shall not be eaten, because it is holy. Do for Aaron and his sons everything according to what I have commanded you. Consecrate them for 7 days. Each day you are to offer a bull as a sin offering, apart from the other offerings of atonement. Also purify the altar when you make atonement for it, and anoint it, in order to sanctify it. You are to make atonement for the altar for 7 days, and so sanctify it. The altar will be most holy, and whatever touches it will become holy. Now this is what you are to offer upon the altar: 2 one-year-old lambs each day continually. You are to offer one lamb in the morning and the other lamb at dusk. Offer along with the first lamb a tenth of an ephah of fine flour mixed with a fourth of a hin of beaten oil and a fourth of a hin of wine as a drink offering. The other lamb you are to offer at dusk, like the grain offering and drink offering of the morning, as a sweet aroma, an offering made by fire to Adonai. It is to be a continual burnt offering throughout your generations at the entrance of the tent of meeting before Adonai. There I will meet with you, to speak with you there. I will meet with Bnei Israel there, so it will be sanctified by my glory. So I will sanctify the tent of meeting and the altar. I will also sanctify Aaron and his sons to minister to me as Kohanim. So I will dwell among Bnei Israel and be their God. Then they will know that I am Adonai their God, who brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, so that I may live among them. I am Adonai their God. I just want to mention a hin is equal to 1.5 gallons, and an ephah is a dry measure of grain. Chapter 30, the incense altar. You are to make an altar of acacia wood for burning incense. It is to be square, 1 cubit in length and 1 cubit wide and 2 cubits high. The horns must be one piece with it. You are to overlay it with pure gold on top, all around the sides and over the horns. Also, you are to make a crown of gold for it all around. Make 2 golden rings for it under the crown on the 2 sides, and they will be holders for poles to carry it. Make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. You are to set it in front of the curtain that is in front of the ark of the testimony, in front of the atonement cover that is over the testimony, where I will meet with you. Aaron must burn sweet spices of incense there every morning. When he attends to the lamps, he is to burn it. Also, when Aaron keeps the lamps lit at dusk, he must burn it. There must be incense continually before Adonai throughout your generations. You must not offer up unauthorized incense on it. Nor should any burnt offering or grain offering be there, nor should you pour any drink offering there. Aaron is to make atonement upon the horns once a year with the blood of the sin offering throughout your generations. It is most holy to Adonai. And there were specific spices that Adonai wanted used. And also, we're going to see next week in Parashat Tetzaveh, the holy anointing oil, the spices that are actually used also. Um, so we're going to continue um, with the preparation of the tent of meeting, or what is known as the tabernacle. So just to recap this portion continues with, as I said, the theme from last week's portion, and this is describing the clothing that the priests were to wear in the tent of meeting or the tabernacle, and the process by which they were to be consecrated, and the offerings that they must bring, both when they were appointed and on a daily basis after that, um, in order to stand before God. It ends also with a description of the altar of incense, which Moses is commanded to build. So the priestly the priestly garments are found, and they were really explicit and very detailed. And God actually sent His Ruach to certain people, certain craftsmen that were enabled to do this job. To even in the whole construction of the tabernacle, there were certain people that God selected to breathe His Ruach into, to give them that skill that they could perform this and to make this possible. So God told Moses that his brother Aaron and his 4 sons were to be consecrated as priests. Now, Aaron had 4 sons: Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, at this point in time. So, the ephod, the breastplate, everything was explicitly designed for them, and God had told Moses exactly to the letter how it was supposed to be done. And also, then, as we continue with the Torah portion, the consecration of the priests and how they were made to be made as holy, especially Aaron. And actually, um, on the turban, it was supposed to be written holy. The words holy to Adonai were to be engraved. And Aaron's garments were designed so that he would actually bear the burden on his heart and on his shoulder, on his shoulders of the 12 tribes of Bnai Israel. So he would take all of that to the Lord when he entered the holy place. But again, he himself had to be right with Adonai, because if he didn't, he could die. That was the purpose of having those little bells at the hem, all around the hem, so that the others could hear that he was okay, because the bells would sound, and if the bells didn't sound, chances are he was in trouble and probably not alive. And again, this Torah portion went on to talk about the daily sacrifices during that consecration, and also the altar of incense was introduced. And we're going to get it more into the oil, the holy anointed oil, next week with Ki Tisa. So that is the end of the Torah portion for this morning. Um, and we are going to continue on um, in part 3 with the Haftorah.